Hey everybody, welcome back to this short collection of videos from Inspired to Change. Those of you who've seen any previous ones will have seen me introduce myself. I'm Wayne, working for Inspired to Change. I'm one of the facilitators, one of the key workers. Some of you might already be on one of my groups or may have already met me or spoke to me over the phone. So looking at some of the skills and techniques that hopefully might help you get through this time. It's Tuesday. See, at this point in time, they start to merge into one. It's Tuesday the 31st, starting week 2 of lockdown. So I think this is the point where it's starting to really hit home with people that this is not just an extra couple of 3 days off like you get with snow. That actually this is going to be a bit more long term and a bit more needs planning and looking at and thinking about the dynamics of your family. Anyway, I digress or waffle on. So one of the first skills that we were thinking of looking at is very much an emergency strategy skill, which is looking at taking time out. And I suppose this skill, it's not going to be a total surprise to people. It's probably one in one form or another that you've used before. And it's about when things are getting heated, when there are arguments, when there are discussions, of taking yourself out of that situation, taking yourself away from the argument, because it's quite easy to find yourself getting tunnel vision and focused. And I think I've spoke before about the evolution of an argument, that it's that difference of opinions becoming a conversation, becoming a discussion, becoming a disagreement, becoming an argument, becoming a fight. I think it's to stop the escalation. So I think when you start going into that argument section of it is where you start getting very blinkered and focused. And very often it stops being about whatever the issue, the problem is, and starts being about who can win. It starts being about who wins the argument. And I think that's the point that we're trying to stop ourselves getting to. So yes, the skill of taking time out. Now, have a think about in relationships with partners, with friends, with family. Who's not walked away from an argument? Who's not at some point gone, right, I've had enough of this. I'm not talking to you anymore. What we're looking at is not reinventing the wheel. It's just polishing up that strategy, that technique, in a way that is less likely to lead to confrontation when you come back, because that's one of the things we've got to do at some point. We've got to come back. But we're also very mindful that this isn't a technique or a strategy that ends up being an easy out, that the moment a conversation gets hard or there's questions being asked that you're not comfortable, you don't like, that suddenly it's I'm taking a time out. Because I think there are things and issues and problems that we do need to discuss in relationships, but it's how we keep calm while we're doing it. One of the things that will happen at the end of this short video of me introducing the skill is that we will roll into a video which is an instructional video, and it very much breaks down the techniques and the steps towards taking a time out. But I think first of all, what we need to be having to think about is being more attuned to ourselves, starting to recognise when we're getting wound up. Because I think we can get into this idea that emotions are something that are out of our control, that it just happens to us. And in a way, they do. Emotions are very, very natural. We all feel emotions. We feel different emotions for different situations. We feel the same emotions for different situations. I think when it comes for me in this idea of situational control or emotional control, I have sort of 3 main concepts, 3 main rules, if you like. One is that emotions and difference of opinions are absolutely natural. And in a way, they're a positive thing in relationships to have difference of opinions. It would be very boring if, as a couple, you agreed on every single thing. It's good to have difference of opinions. You will have your own experiences. So, emotions and difference of opinions are absolutely natural. The second thing is to have a think about how predictable they can be. You know the situations that you're more likely to have a conflict, that you're more likely to disagree, that you're more likely to argue, that you're more likely to become angry or frustrated or jealous. So my second one is that they are predictable. You know what your triggers are, you know the riskier situations. Now, which leads me into the third sort of rule that I have, which is if they are predictable, if we can foretell, I mean, we haven't got a crystal ball, some things do come out of the blue, but on the whole, if we can predict the situations where we're more likely to have conflict or difference of opinions or become angry or be frustrated, then we can plan. We can get ready for it. There's an element of controllability in there. So the natural, the predictable, and if the predictable, we can plan and control around them. That doesn't necessarily mean control the other person. It's controlling how we deal with emotions, controlling as much of the environment as we can, where we have those discussions, when we have those discussions, how we have those discussions. So that's what a lot of this idea with time out is about. It's about being able to take yourself out of risky situations, have that think, bring those emotion levels back down to a position where you can control them in order to at some point come back and have those discussions and work through the issues and problems. So I thought some of the things that we need to be very aware of, and these will come up in the instructional video, is being more attuned, and at some point we will look more at emotions, of being aware in how you're feeling in yourself and not just pushing the emotions aside and going, no, I want to get this sorted, no, I want to get this sorted. Being aware of where you do take yourself away to, and who and how. Obviously, as things are at the moment, it's not as easy to get out and about and go and take the dog a walk, as I've mentioned before. I'm obsessed with taking the dog a walk. But to get yourself out and about, so it might be that you just go and take yourself to another room. It might be that you go and run a bath, or you go and do something else, or you just go and put the kettle on and make a brew. Sometimes that might be enough for somebody, just them few seconds away. I think it's also important of what we say to ourselves and how we potentially distract ourselves while we are away, and not let that be a time that we ruminate and stew and start to build on those negative thoughts and those negative feelings that we're already starting to build. And then I think what's also important is how we bring ourselves back, how we time in, if you like, for lack of a better phrase for it, is how we bring ourselves back to that situation. Now, different people have different routines and different ideas around that. Some people will just bring themselves back to a situation, get a feel for what the atmosphere is like. If it seems like things have calmed down, all well and good. If not, they will take themselves back out. Now, some people that I've worked with, they will have a little system between them and the partner where they'll send the partner a kiss, or the partner will send them a kiss, and if they send one back, then they know it's okay. But you find what works for you. But I think what is most important out of all that technique, all that strategy, is actually before you even need to take that time out. And it's how you have that conversation. It's how you have that discussion with that other person. Now, the chances are that other person already knows, or has a good idea, that when you get worked up, when you get wound up, there are ways in which you typically have reacted in the past. Now, that might be aggression, that might be sulking, whatever that is. So it's about explaining to them that this is a way that you're hopefully trying to address and stop that from happening. So it's how you sit down, and I think it is important that you do have that discussion when you don't need a timeout. It's just part of general discussion, whether that be just a case of going, when sometimes I get frustrated when we're talking about money, or we're talking about this, or we're talking about that. Well, actually, if it is that I feel I'm getting really frustrated, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of give you a nod, let you know whatever your cue, whatever your signal is that you sort out between you. And I'm going to take myself away for a bit. Now, that might be for 5 minutes, that might be 10 minutes, that might be an hour, that might be a couple hours, depending on the situation and circumstances. But it's about making it clear this is not you not wanting to talk about issues. This is you feeling that that particular point in time, that particular spot isn't the best time. It is a time where you feel that it would build into conflict, and you're in a position where you want to be able to control those emotions, control what you say, because you don't want to say things that you want to regret later, and you don't want to hurt the people that you're closest to and the people that you love. So that's what time out is all about. So as I say, we're going to follow this video with an instructional video. It's called a Spark video, and it'll come up with a list of techniques, strategies. Those of you who've got email addresses for, we can send the skills workbooks out for. But hopefully you have a think about this, take it on board, think about how you can adapt it and use it for yourselves. So thanks a lot. Bye.
Welcome to Skills and Inspiration with Inspire to Change. One of the skills we show you on our programme is taking time out. It is an important way of helping to immediately increase safety for partners, children and family members at times when your emotions are running high. Taking time out requires you to let go of issues you feel strongly about and temporarily remove yourself from the situation. Using this skill can prevent you from doing or saying abusive or hurtful things in the heat of the moment that you know you'll regret later. Give yourself some time to cool down and consider better ways to deal with the situation. Give you time to get control of your thoughts and emotions. These are the steps to taking time out. Set aside time to discuss the steps to taking time out with your loved ones. Choose a time to talk when things are calm. By agreeing these steps with them, they have chance to understand what is happening if you need to use this skill. Decide on a non-aggressive, non-verbal signal that you will use if you're taking time out. Decide how long you will leave the situation for. Decide where you will go, and ensure you tell your loved one how long you will be gone for in a calm way. Think about a calming place for you to go and things that you might do. Don't drink or drive. Don't go to the pub even if your initial intention isn't to drink. If you're going to talk to a friend, make sure that it isn't someone who will just take your side against your loved one, as that's likely to make matters worse. If there are specific reasons why you can't leave the house, negotiate in advance with your loved one a space in the home where you can go. If they follow you, ask calmly that they leave you alone and explain why you need to take the time out. If they don't, leave the house or go to another room. Agree arrangements for coming back. Leave and go back at the agreed time. Don't be early or late. Although your loved one does not have to agree to the use of time out, doing it in a structured way with clear rules and boundaries in a way that has been explained to them is more likely to feel helpful. Here is a recap on our steps to taking time out. Being aggressive or running away does not resolve relationship problems, but using this skill gives you a chance of preventing the damage caused by relationship aggression.